Hello and welcome to Harness Money. I am Colin, and today we are going to talk about 7 mistakes that you must avoid in order to build wealth, in order to really take your wealth to the next level. And I have come across these in many different forms over my investing life, and just I always try to keep these things in mind as I go along my journey, and I hope that you can learn something from them as well and try to avoid these pitfalls as you climb your mountain. So, number one, the very first mistake that you need to avoid on your path to build wealth is avoiding those fees. Now, there are some fees in life that you just cannot avoid, but fees are the biggest drag on your wealth. And it's important to know exactly what you're paying for the privilege of investing into the market or working to build your wealth. So, fees come in a lot of different forms. You can pay fees at your bank when you're putting money, depositing money, or withdrawing money, or writing checks, or making payments, or you can pay fees when you are investing into your 401k, or if you're with a robo advisor. Those often make their money by charging you fees. So, it's important to realize what fees are you actually paying when you are investing your money, and to try to reduce these as much as possible in order to put more of that money towards your goal. It's like anything in life, you want all of the principal going towards your goal. I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine that was asking me about investing or putting money into charities. When you decide that you want to give money to charities, you better believe that charities spend money on things other than the actual mission. So when you donate money to Save the Turtles, or some local food banks, you can look into their finances and see whether or not your money is actually going to the mission of the organization, or it is going to the operation of the business. So, most organizations have a structure, and that structure costs money. They have to incorporate as an LLC or as a nonprofit, and they have to pay an accountant, and they have to pay staff, and there's all these costs associated with actually running the charity. That they have to get that money from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere. And so often when you make a donation to an organization, a portion of your donation goes to the actual operation. So I always try to look at the best charities that are using the money that actually goes towards the mission. You want most of your money going towards the mission and actually making an impact in some person's life, rather than just going to a bloated organization that's not being the best steward of your money. So it's important to look at what you're investing your money into as far as charity wise, and see, are they being good stewards of this money, or is it going to something else? The same with fees in your investing future. Your wealth is important as well. You want your money going towards the actual growth of your wealth, not the management of that wealth. So there's lots of ways that you can find out what your fee is. Don't pay an assets under management fee to a financial planner or some wealth manager. Just learn to do it yourself. You have the power to do it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with getting help. If you want to bounce ideas off of someone, if you want someone to advise you, there's nothing wrong with paying for that. But don't pay a ton of your money towards that. Learn how to do it yourself, and then get your guidance once a year on a regular basis, and pay a reasonable amount for that privilege. So avoid paying too many fees. Make sure most of your money is going towards your investments. Number two, the second mistake to avoid when you are investing goes along with understanding your fees, is never invest in something that you do not understand. This is what my entire podcast is about, and that is understanding what you are investing your money into, because there's always something else to learn about an investment. There's always more to understand about our money. So Even if you take a strategy that is set it and forget it, I always use this example, and that is that when you are putting money into an ETF, let's say a Vanguard ETF, and you put your money into VTI, the total stock market index, or even the top 500 US companies or the top global companies, you're putting your money into a large basket of stocks. So within that ETF, there may be businesses that don't align with your particular values, whether it's, I can think of many examples, whether it's gambling, alcohol, tobacco, just all kinds of different businesses, maybe climate change, you're into that. If you're putting your money into an ETF, there's a lot of businesses in that bucket that you are essentially putting your money into. So it's a great strategy for building wealth. It's probably the easiest strategy to build wealth for 99% of individuals, but you just need to know how much you're paying in fees to invest into an ETF, and also what you are investing that money into. Maybe you don't want to be invested into some of those businesses. Well, you just need to know that. You need to know going in, what is this investment? Why am I making this investment? And just what do I need to know about this investment? What are the risks involved with it? What is the upside? There's nothing wrong with having as much information as possible. And you should never make an investment if you don't understand the long-term ramifications, or if someone is pushing you to invest in something, or you're just trying to set it and forget it and just hope that everything works out. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand what you are investing into, and never make an investment without being confident in your decision. All right, number 3, the third mistake to avoid is not investing early enough. Now, I know that if you're seeing this, you're like, well, I can't go back in time and invest in the past, but there's no time like the present to invest right now. The worst thing that you can do is put it off and keep putting it off and procrastinating. Now, I say this, I am guilty of this as well. I have procrastinated on many things in my life. I can think of several right now that I have been putting off doing, but I should get to fixing my car. Yes, the check engine light on my car is still on, and I need to get that taken care of. But that is something that will kill your wealth, is procrastinating. Procrastinating too long. Number 1 is doing your research, making a decision, and just getting started and ramping it up. So the reason I put this on the list was not starting early enough is because compounding takes time. The most important asset for financial success is time. You have to invest today and make your investment become the mountain. Your investment doesn't start off as a pot of gold right here. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to invest in the market. You invest so that it becomes a pot of gold, or it becomes a mountain of wealth in the future. So if you don't start, it will never become that pot of gold. So really think about investing your money as early as possible. Number 4, the fourth mistake ties into the third mistake that you want to avoid, and that is not increasing your income. So in order to have money to invest, you need to have income. You need to have cash flow. And you have more skills than you think. I make this mistake all the time. I have to remind myself. I actually put sticky notes around my desk or around my computer, places that I see in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth, that I have more skills than I really let on. And sometimes we all have that negative self-talk that goes on in our mind that maybe says we're not good enough, or we're not good looking, we're not fit enough, we're not smart enough to do all these things, or we're not capable enough. And I always have to remind myself that take it back to the basics, the bare minimum, which is, what skills do you have right from the beginning? And for me, that is reading, writing, and speaking. If you can read, if you can write, if you can speak, then you have three skills right there that could make you so much money. Doesn't even we don't that doesn't even begin to say all of the knowledge that you have acquired in your life and the skills that you can implement that way. That doesn't even take into account that if you can read, write, and speak, you can make a lot of money. And you should really focus on increasing your income. It is a mistake to stay at one job and one salary for 20 years or 30 years. Now, sometimes there's things that you can't help. So I do understand that. If there are professions where your income will not increase over time very much, and I totally get that. My mother was a public school teacher for probably 25 years, and she pretty much stayed at the same. She had a master's degree. She has a master's degree, and she pretty much stayed at that salary, the same salary for many years. And there's just nothing you can do to get around that. But there are things that she did to supplement her income. So she was a teacher. And then on the side, she did tutoring. She tutored in math and science and reading. And she really did that after school, on weekends, and during the summer. So she was able to increase her income, make extra income that way. And I think that's available to everyone. There are so many ways that we can make extra money on the side or that you can increase your salary. And that's not to say that it's easy, because it's definitely not been easy for me. That's one of the most difficult skills that I have tried to cultivate, is earning more income. And it definitely takes practice. It may take pushing yourself or getting a new job or having an uncomfortable conversation. But if you just stay at the same level for 20 or 30 years, that is a mistake, because you need to be increasing the amount that you are able to invest into the market, put into your wealth building. All right, number 5, the fifth mistake to avoid is, again, one that I had to learn early on, which was being a high spender, but also high debtor. So just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you are wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. There's many places in the country that are expensive, that there's a high cost of living. So you may be a high earning individual, but your all of your money is going towards your cost of living, like Los Angeles. The teachers or the elementary students, the teaching staff, or the school staff is on strike right now because they're not making enough money. There are places like Los Angeles, New York, Seattle that have a very high cost of living. So you can make a lot of money, but you could be spending it all. So that is what you want to avoid. Having a high salary, working on your income, but then spending all that income. That is not going to get you to where you want to go. That's unsustainable. So you'll be able to live for a long time. You could live 10 years, 20 years earning a high income. But if you are not investing, if you are not building your wealth, that is a mistake, and that will come back to haunt you. You will have to downgrade in your retirement or as you get older. And believe me, I have seen it. That is painful. Moving from one socioeconomic level down to another is a very stressful and painful process for many people. But it does happen all the time. So watch out. If you are earning a high income, make sure you are putting some of that away for retirement or just for building wealth. Number 6, the sixth mistake, and this is probably one of the most impactful as far as your wealth, and it's almost as important as number 1, paying too many fees. And that is number 6, not having a system, not having a money system. So there are lots of times when I was starting out that I wanted to do it manually. I wanted to manually invest the money so that I could make sure or just see that it was being invested into the market and what it was going into. But you need to have a system because life gets in the way. You have a family, or you have a job, or you have friends. There's all these distractions that could come between you and investing in your money and accomplishing your goals. So just like a YouTube channel or a podcast or even your job, You have to do it repetitively. Every day you go in and you try to get better and better at it. But you have to do it on a regular interval. You have to have a system to build wealth. Having a system is what will build your wealth over time. This is what companies do so well. It goes all the way back to Henry Ford and the assembly line, is that when you have a system, it just ensures quality and it ensures long-term success, and it gives you the ability to scale. If you have a system, you can invest your money and you can scale that acorn into a large tree over time, but only if you have that system and you make sure that it is running for a long period of time. So lock it in, make sure you have a really dialed in system that fits your values and that just runs like clockwork that you don't have to think about. And all right, we're at number 7. The seventh mistake that you need to avoid when building wealth is also very important. It's having the wrong partners. Oh man, this is a tough one. I have definitely had to learn this lesson over time, and that is having the wrong partners. And you really have to examine who your partners are and make changes if necessary. And that can be really tough to do because it is hard. It's about having hard conversations with people, and not even having hard conversations, but just setting your own expectations. There's so many times that I have found myself not setting expectations. It's my own fault that I'm having trouble or that someone's not getting it. It's because I haven't set the expectations. And you have to do this with everybody in your life, because we have many different partners in our life. Your family is your partner. I still have both of my parents, and I have had to have tough conversations with my parents about, what me getting older, me developing my own life, having my own house, having my own money, career. When I was starting out in technology, they didn't really get it that I was going into the technology field, and I had to have that tough conversation. But you have to have the right partners. And if they are toxic, if you have someone that isn't aligned with your values, or you feel like they might not be pushing you in the direction that you want to go, there's sometimes you can't cut ties. I'm never going to cut ties with my parents or those people that are part of my family, but you can set barriers, and have you can have expectations or just lines that you don't allow people to cross. And if they do cross them, tell them what's going to happen. Tell them you'll take a step back, or you won't be communicating with them, or just that you will be protecting yourself, or just doing things that you need to do to protect your mental space. And you really have to look at all the partners in your life. That's your family, that's your romantic partners, that's your business partners, that could be your boss, that could be your coworkers, and of course your friends. So there's all these different partners that you have, and you want to let them know that this is the direction that I am working in and that I am going in. And if you really have to, you know, if you realize that someone doesn't have your best interests at heart, you may have to have a tough conversation and break those ties, or set up those barriers and move in a different direction. But it's crucial to your mental health, but also your financial health. You want someone that is wanting to build wealth with you, that's trying to move in a better direction. If they are overspending, or you're not aligned on the same lifestyle as one of your partners, that can really impact your own wealth building and your own mission. So make sure that you address who you are partnered with and where you are going. So I hope that these mistakes you avoid, that you build your wealth, and remember, make good money choices. Until next time, I am Colin. Bye.